Hello and happy Wednesday, and welcome to this week's episode of the Horse with No Name podcast, joined as always by co-host Tyler Greenlee. We moved up a day this week because of fall break. Tyler wanted some time off, and so we decided to bump up a few days. Don't smirk at me like that. We are joined today by Lancaster Bible College women's volleyball head coach Micah Herron.
Good to be here.
Good to see you again.
Thanks, Zach.
Had you on earlier in the year, and just a short segment. Now a little deep dive into women's volleyball here today, too. So.
I dig it.
Good. So I re-listened to that first podcast. One of the things, I just listened for some things that you said maybe that we could bring back up. You talked about the learning curve being steep. So are you just a liar, or because you're 17-6 and it's the best record we've ever had for 23 matches. We don't have one conference loss. No, in all seriousness, no. You talked about solidifying an identity early. Obviously that happened.
Right.
I'm not sure how early, but what is the identity? How have you guys built upon that foundation of early in the season and to where you are today?
If you read the Charger report that Zach put out last night, I think I probably said it in there, but the quote by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, that one man is a crucial ingredient to a team, but one man cannot make a team. And I think that has been probably something that we've really pressed and preached, for lack of a better word, to the girls of, hey, stay in your lane, know your role, and you do your role well, we can be successful. And they've really embraced that. And so that's kind of been our identity. I know that's really vague, but we've got some really great players, but I wouldn't say that we have this one individual all-star that maybe some squads have. And so it's really been a team effort, and that's not cliche by any means. It's been a team effort to get to where we've been to, because they've each just accepted and embraced it and had a desire to make their teammates better. And so
I think I mentioned that to you yesterday, trying to nominate people for all conference each week, and not that we haven't had great success and victories, and clearly I just spat it off the record. We're getting victories,
right.
But there's no one to nominate. Well, there's hardly been anyone to nominate for that individual award where someone has these outlandish numbers.
Yeah.
But you start reading through, there's 7 kills, 9, 6. I mean, you start going through it, all of a sudden, there's 45 kills.
Yeah.
And we won 3-0, and it really wasn't that close.
Yeah.
So, I mean, last night, obviously this is a poor example because Hannah had 17 kills last night.
Yeah.
But,
career
that's
best.
the first. All right. It's a career best. It's a season high. It's a season high for anyone on the team.
Yeah.
But to your point, maybe that's a cliched line. It's a team effort. It really is.
Yeah.
You're not giving us a line here. It really is. And I think anyone who's watched your program this year, that's probably what they would say. And not trying to be cliched. It's just, hey, all these people know how to play defense. If Allison makes the dig, she's not in the play. There's like 3 people on the team who know how to set too. Then they're always on the floor, it seems. And it's in the perfect spot for a kill. And it's just, anyways, to your point, it's just trying to back you up here on the line.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that.
The defense would like to rest. To your point about the quotes, and again, I'm a good guy who likes a good quote, and I like the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar quote. How do you get them to buy into that every week? You have like one a week or one every 10 days, or it feels like every time there's a home match, there's a new line for me to write in there. But it's one thing to say that quote, and it is a good quote, or you read quotes on the walls and on art all the time, but they're, again, to the team effort thing, they're literally doing it.
Yeah.
There is no one man. We've gotten aces from everybody on the team practically this year. Whenever we need a big serve, people are just, it's my turn to serve. I guess I'll just serve an ace. That's what it feels like. Obviously, it's much more difficult than that. But how do you get them to buy into that idea of, this is the line, but we're really going to try to live this out here over the next 2 hours or 2 practices or whatever?
Yeah, I think we kind of take it a week at a time. And we kind of look at the week, and as a coach, I'm able to kind of keep it in perspective of, hey, if we do the little things now, then the big things take care of themselves. And we're finding ourselves in a good position to continue to be successful and set ourselves up for really a great run at the playoffs, which we haven't had for a while. But at the same time, we kind of take it a week at a time. And so with that, we give them a quote at the beginning of the week, and it's something that we talk about. We tie into everything that we do, and it's in their face. It's in front of them all the time. And so when we come to practice, it's, hey, we got to be competitive. And to that point, we don't have one or maybe even two people that, hey, there are studs that we go to. Maybe other programs have, but we have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 down the line people that at any given point they can step up for us. And the way we structure practice kind of probably lends to that. You know, we've been down in matches and down in games, and you know, we do game scenarios and a lot of game-like situation things that really prepare them for that. So when it is their turn to step up, like last night, we had a freshman on the line and we're down whatever it was, 22, 23, and we needed this point. She stepped back, and volley gods were with us a little bit, got a little tape help, and dropped in for an ace. But she stepped up, and it really, we don't let ourselves get ahead of the moment, and we really try and preach, hey, stay here, because if we stay here and we do what we need to do well here, the rest takes care of itself.
Are you able to see that kind of a trait when you're recruiting a freshman to come in here, or is that kind of something that you develop over time while they're in your program?
I'm sure that you can see that as you watch them and you see them in match-like settings, and as you get to know them and as individuals. But at the same time, I think it's something that can be nurtured. You can't teach competitiveness. At least I don't think. I haven't found that to be true. And you can try and motivate, but either have it or you don't, I think. And I think we have people that come in and they're competitive, and they don't want to sit on the bench. Nobody, I would hope nobody does in my program, but they don't want to sit on the bench, and that happens in practice. When they're doing the right things in practice, you're comfortable with putting them in difficult situations in a match when we need a point, and hey, make it happen. So yeah.
What's something that has surprised you this season, whether on the court, off the court? Something that maybe not a huge
our record. Can I say that?
Same. No, that's a good.
I think it surprised a lot of people.
No, it's good. It's good. I was just curious if there's anything that you get like a little binder put on your desk the first day, and here's how to be a coach and all this stuff, and it's
Coaching
clear
101.
you can just go ahead and chuck that if you still have it.
Right. No, I don't have that.
That's good.
I actually don't think I was given that manual, so if there is one,
we may have run out. There's a lot of new coaches. No, just something maybe that, again, and that's a good one. Just maybe something, all of a sudden, whether it's a student walks in your office or, road trip or whatever, or the ins and outs of a season. I know, again, you don't have to go personal here a ton, but, you're a first-year coach, and all of a sudden volleyball is every day, it turns out.
Yeah.
So there's something
no
to that,
time
too. Yeah, so.
I mean, definitely our record. Like, I if I'm honest, I came in, I was like, hey, let's just be better than we were. Mm-hmm. And if we can do that, then we can get somewhere. And obviously we're sitting in a place that's like, I didn't anticipate this, but I sure am thankful for it. But I think the biggest thing is really probably the unity of the team. And again, some of these things are cliche, and I try and stay away from cliches, but I don't know how else to explain it. There's just a desire to play for each other, to love each other, even in the way they talk. And when I have conversations one-on-one with players, or we have captains meetings, I'm talking to them, what's the temperature like? Give me your feedback. You're in and amongst them. And that's the feedback I get, is that they love each other well, but they're also not willing to say difficult things to each other and respond in that way. When someone needs a little kick in the pants, or, hey, you need to do this better, or they're willing to do that. And not only are willing to do that, but they're willing to embrace that and accept it. And I've got that from freshmen as well. They've said those things. And so to me, I say, hey, that's a sign of a great team, because, poor teams, no one leads. I think I said this in the original podcast. Good teams, coaches lead, and great teams, players lead. And I've got great leadership that lead well. And it's really allowed us as coaches to focus on tactics and technical things as opposed to the relational side, where a lot of that is we foster that and the girls just run with it. And that's been a huge attributor to our success.
And I guess my next question just kind of popped in there would be, we just talked about there not being one major star statistically on the court every
Right.
night. We're like, I got to go see this girl play.
Mm-hmm.
But are we talking about people here, and we can list them off if you want, that are foundationally building the program to where in 3 years you're going to say, maybe next year, I don't have no idea, that girl's really good on the court, but you ought to have seen what she did with Jenny Mulvey 3 years ago, or Aaron Harkey, or fill in the blank senior upperclassman. Is that something that you think that's coming down the road because of, again, not so much the on the court, but the off the court?
Yeah, I think so, because I think what our leadership is establishing is, number one, a love for each other, but number two, to be competitive. And, you know, we compete in practice, but then off the court, they're really setting the standard high, where when you come into this program, this is what the expectations are. And then as a coach, like, you just bring in players, you know, you're looking for obviously quality players competitively, but then you're also looking for players that as an individual really fit that. And so they're kind of setting that up where, hey, this is their expectation. So the freshmen know that are here this year, they know that this is the standard. You know, and the juniors and the sophomores, they know that. So they're embracing that, and they themselves accept it. And really are kind of policing themselves on, you know, our team expectations and holding each other accountable with that. So when we do get people come in, they just kind of get morphed into the blob, if you will, and there's just, this is what we do. And it's a culture thing that, you know, you have to continually foster and try and grow. But at the same time, it makes our job easier when we know that the players are really taking that on themselves. So, yeah.
So again, we kind of talked about your record: 17-6, 5 in a row, 11-12, 17-3. Excuse me, after the opening 3 losses.
Yeah.
You weren't there, so. Have you taken a step back again? And by no means is the season over.
Right,
Huge
right.
weekend. We're gonna get to the next question. Huge weekend. Lots of time left. Have you given yourself a chance to maybe sit back in your office one day, or it's like, this is fun. This is kind of cool.
Yeah, I have to remind myself of that often, and my coaching staff does a great job of that. Of at the end of the day, we get to, at least I do. They're part-time, but you know, we get to spend our afternoons and evenings in a gym doing something that not a lot of people get to do.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I do have to pinch myself and go, "Wow, actually, it's actually kind of fun." Yeah, I get paid to do this, but at the same time, like, this is great. And obviously winning helps. You know,
Sure.
Anytime you're winning, that's everybody's high in life at that point.
Oh, you wouldn't be a guest if you were 6-17.
Yeah, so
It's just fun. No, I'm just kidding.
thanks for the honesty.
Yeah, that's-
But yeah, and at the same time, I try to not allow myself to get ahead of myself either. Of, hey, we've arrived, and because I'm probably more of a guy that's a glass half empty when it comes to coaching. Like, hey, there's always room for improvement. But I have to remind myself of, man, we were able to beat Gallaudet this year. We've never done that before. You know, we're off to the best start the program's had for a long time. We're doing things that haven't been done. And as much as we keep it in perspective, you don't want to lose the opportunity to celebrate little things. And that's something we try and do along the way. You know, each week as things happen, as we're doing things and we're competing, I have to continue to remind myself of that, because otherwise it just becomes a grind, and you lose the joy of really why you got into doing what you're doing, and not only loving the game, but using it as a mentor and discipleship opportunity. So definitely.
Yeah, you mentioned you don't want to. I mean, you do want to celebrate the small things, but you know, at the same time, on my team too, we say, like, we can't focus on what's happened in the past. We got to keep focusing on what is, you know, the big games coming up next. How do you translate that mentality to your players?
Last week our quote was, and hopefully I can remember it right. There is always bigger, grander challenges ahead. And a winner will embrace each one. And I don't think that the scoreboard defines our success. Obviously, in my profession, if you're not winning, then eventually you're going to be out of a job. I recognize that. But at LBC, we obviously have a bigger perspective, an eternal perspective. And so we want to be competitive and we want to be successful regardless of what the scoreboard says. But with that has to come the ability to zone in on the day-to-day. And we've kind of taken hey, we have a faceless opponent. Like, yeah, we beat Gallaudet. Well, the next month we came back and laid an egg and lost to Cuca, So we have to find a way to we celebrate those things, but we've not arrived yet. And I think they really believe that. I think they see there's a unique opportunity here and a special opportunity as far as the season goes to do something as a team. But it's something that we talk about often because otherwise, the young kids, they're the ability to kind of, hey, well, look what we're doing, and then you get ahead of yourself, and then that's when you go out and, again, lay another egg. But it's something that we continue to preach. Hey, I don't care who's over there. Last night we played a tough Lycoming team. They played in a very difficult conference. They got a tough schedule. And it wasn't about Lycoming. It was that, hey, they're next on our calendar, so we're going to step up and be competitive against them. And they did that well.
Right.
So the big weekend is here. Headed to New York. You're actually going up tomorrow.
Yep.
Little team bonding there Thursday night,
Yep.
Friday. And then Saturday at Morrisville, Cazenovia first,
Mm-hmm.
and then against Morrisville. We've talked off the podcast about your team's ability to play back-to-back matches and that they like it. And the second match, oddly enough, is usually better than the first.
Definitely.
Certainly a trend we'd love to see continue. So Cazenovia at 2,
Yep.
Morrisville at 4. Morrisville have played first and then get a little break. Have you begun to talk about this weekend yet? Is that today where you're going to start this weekend? And what does make us so good in that second match of a doubleheader where, whether they have to put a first loss behind them like they did with Cuca and then come back and sweep Wells. Sorry, I didn't see that coming after the
win. I didn't either, yeah.
Or just the ability to keep it going after winning the first one.
Again, I think it goes back to face this opponent, next team up. That's who it is. We don't start well. We probably struggle in those first matches sometimes as we get going for whatever reason. I can't put my finger on it. They're college athletes, so it's like whoever shows up that day decides to show up and play. And obviously we want to get past that and be consistent.
Right.
And so we're trying to figure that out, but trying to attack the day and start well. When we can start well and we can make teams play to us, then we find success, I think. And so with Kaz, and when we got to come out, we got to be disciplined on our side. Like I tell them, I don't care who it is. We don't look past them. Anybody can be any team on any day, especially in volleyball. It's such a momentum type sport where a couple of plays just changes the landscape of the match, and all of a sudden you're up 2-0, now you're tied 2-2 going in the fifth game, and it's 10-10. You're like, what happened? Well, it's just the nature of the sport. So the ability to stay in the moment, who's up here, let's take care of our side. And then obviously Morrisville, being the number one team in our league right now and defending NEAC champs, we got a great opportunity. I would rather go into a match like that as the underdog, as the aggressor, as opposed to somebody with a target on your back.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously we'd love to win. We win, then it looks like we'd be able to potentially host, the tournament, which would never have happened.
Right. I'll frame that for you quick. Again, I don't want to assume any wins. I'm not on the team though, so I can gladly do that.
Sure.
If we would beat Kaz, we would be a half game behind or a game behind Morrisville. They would be 9-0, assuming they beat Kaz.
Right.
And we would be 8-1. And basically the winner of the LBC Morrisville match would both teams would go to 9-1. If we would win, we would have the tiebreaker with the head-to-head, and we would have to win our last match at St. Elizabeth next Saturday.
Yep.
But that would make us the host for the NEAC Women's Volleyball Final Four. We wouldn't have to play a quarterfinal match and sleep in our own beds and have a good time here on the first weekend in November. But even if we lose, there's still a very good chance of being the second seed, and we wouldn't have to play a quarterfinal, and you'd know that you're staying in a hotel in Morrisville, New York on the first weekend of November.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to say there's either way, but, obviously it'd be great to host, but that's the frame there of that.
Yeah.
Is that, and I'm sure you guys and the team knows that, but yeah, it's certainly, like you said, an unbelievable opportunity for the program to have this discussion, let alone go up there and play and have people checking out the video and the live stats and kind of, should I make plans or am I going to be around? Right. Or
and at the beginning of the season, we set out goals and we want to win 7 of our 10 home matches, and we're going to check that one off, even if we got one more home match and the ability to go, 9-1 potentially at home. Like, that's not been done, I don't think, for a long time. I could be wrong. Check me on that. Don't want to get ahead of myself there, obviously. I
feel good about it, but let me check.
All right. That's good to know.
Check the fact checker.
So, obviously, that's a big deal. We want to win, every 5-set match we play, and we're 1-1. We haven't actually gotten to that point very much, which is great. Putting ourselves in position early to be successful. Another one was we want to make this NEAC semis. Even if we have to play that first game, we want to make the semis. Looks like there's a pretty nice path for us to be able to do that. And then kind of our big, hairy, audacious goals. We want to win the NEAC, and quite honestly, that was probably the furthest thing from my mind, if I'm honest, at the beginning of the season. Now we find ourselves in a place to, obviously there's a lot that has to happen to make that happen. But the opportunity is there potentially. And so to actually have that conversation is like, wow, it's really a testament to the girls and how hard they've worked and what they've done to get to this point. They've stayed in the moment. And to go back to your point, why do we play well in the second match of doubleheaders? Pop Shuey, man, he gives us his fruit every match in between. And aside from that first weekend, which then the second match we lost in 5 in the 5th game by 2 points, we've won every second match. And so it's Pop's fruit. That's what I'm going with. We're going to stick with that and hope that carries us through.
Nice. I like it.
It's just it's our little known facts and little secrets of the program that we have. So cat's out of the bag. Sorry, Pop, but
no, it's good. It's good. Terrific.
Yeah,
I like it. All right, perfect.
So we'll see.
On a little less serious note, we had Hannah on the show. What was that? 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think 2 weeks ago.
And she said something about Charger. What is it? Charger Idol or something?
Charger Idol. Yeah.
And said that some of the coaches had some pretty sweet Simon Cowell accents. Can you give us a little demonstration here?
I believe that was Julie, probably. Actually, I'm lying. I had to be Simon last year. Probably because
male on staff.
I'm number one. I was the only male on staff.
Typecast.
Although Kate had to be Randy Jackson. She had a pretty good Randy Jackson impression. I was very impressed.
I'm willing to have Caitlin
her
on the podcast just for that. Even if it's like 30-second appearance.
Totally worth it
okay,
for
good.
sure.
Give us your Randy Jackson. All right, thanks, bye.
Yeah. But yeah, I was the only male. I tend to probably be too sarcastic and too dry at times for maybe some of our players' sake, and so it's kind of
plays
easy.
well in this room.
It really does. Yeah, it just kind of vibes around here, so I'm okay with that. But yeah, it was easy just to kind of be like, "You are terrible. Like, why did you even do that?" And it was just an excuse to just tear people down.
Do you break out the accent at all?
Did I?
Yeah.
Probably once or twice. And I wouldn't say I have a great British accent by any means. It was just kind of fun in the moment of, you sing like a goat.
You should play volleyball more
Stick
than
to your
that.
day job, So, yeah, it was fun. And this year we didn't necessarily have that because there's, as a head coach, I didn't feel like I should probably take that role on and totally trash on them. But we had some doozies this year, man. I mean, Hannah Geip won, obviously, and she was. The goal is to kind of be the worst. That's who we really actually.
I didn't catch that when we had Hannah on.
It's really about we reward, the Charger Idol to the worst individual. Yes, really. So, and there's not a whole lot of them that are actually very good at it. So it actually makes it really fun because everybody's terrible. So it's just kind of a way to kind of let her hair down and, no pun intended there, to let the girls kind of have some fun. And actually this weekend we're introducing our Chargers Got Talent on our retreat.
Hannah was excited
So-
to introduce that. I'm interested to hear how that
Yeah,
goes.
it's our first annual, so we're really excited about that. to
Is this
see
on the
kinda-
bus or is this going to be at the retreat?
This will be at the retreat. Originally, it was going to be the bus, but the retreat was able to kind of come together, and so we were able to find a space, meeting spot to really kind of allow them to get into it. So I limited, their acts to 3 people. So you can have up to 3 people in your act. You can do it alone, whatever it is. So it should be quite entertaining.
I'm going to show you how to use the Twitter Live function for your phone.
So it should be a good time this weekend.
You can
And
lend out a camera. I think that's probably
yeah, we could probably take that GoPro
we don't,
and
yeah, we don't
load
have
some
anything here
things
this weekend.
up.
It's
And,
fun.
yeah, I think it'll be it falls on a perfect weekend going into a really, for lack of a better statement, an important weekend for us that can really kind of set us on a trajectory to continue to be successful. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, Micah wants to do our top 5. We usually let the guests do the top 5.
I'm all about the top
Bob did
5.
the top 5 last week and missed it on Hannah. She talked about the cereal a little bit 2 weeks ago. So this week's category, top 5 places that you've ever been.
Top 5 I've ever been.
You've ever been.
Okay.
And,
Just took my job there, but whatever. It's fine.
Well, you can do the Go Chargers Go at the end if you want. You came up with it. So
It's true.
would you like to go first, Micah?
Sure. I mean, is everybody going to give it?
We're all going to go.
So do we go 1, 1, 1?
Oh,
2,
you want to
2,
do
2?
5, 5? Yeah. We
Oh, you want me to give my top 5? I'm going to blow you out of the water, so I don't want to make y'all feel bad. I'm just saying.
Maybe he should go last then.
Sure.
Because mine's pretty lame.
Oh. Okay, you
I
go first. I'll go
been to
second.
a lot of places. Okay.
Go-
I actually have never been off the East Coast, so I mean that's.
Yeah, we should start with you.
Blast.
Yeah.
Go ahead and blast through this. The ODC is number 5. Fry.
Okay. Let's see. Number 5. I'm gonna say Cape May Beach.
Okay. I like the beach.
You know, just
Beach
that's where
is
my
always a
that's
good
where I went
thing.
to go. That's where I always went growing up. So
Nice.
that's kind
I
of
like
what I
that.
know.
Yeah.
We're gonna go number 4, Niagara Falls.
Okay.
That was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get to see the Canadian side because I didn't have my passport, but that's
Canada,
whatever.
huh? Almost
maybe,
made it.
Maybe someday I'll live that dream out. We'll go number 3, Disney.
Oh.
I went
Disney
there when I
World? Yeah, I'm East Coast. Yeah, Disney World.
Yeah,
sorry.
Disney World.
Yeah.
Specific park or just the whole enchilada?
I like, what is it, Hollywood Studios?
I've been there since I was
I think
12.
so. I don't know. That's when I was there. I was like 11 or 12.
Oh,
It was
well,
fun.
That was shorter time for you than me.
It was good. Oh, yeah, but I don't know. I haven't been there for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Anyway, it was fun. That was first time I was ever on an airplane.
Oh, nice.
So that was pretty fun. Number 2, Fenway Park.
Nice. Like that.
I like the
Shout
Green
out.
Monsters.
Yeah.
Pretty cool to see how old the stadium is, you know.
Yeah.
All the seats face straight.
Yeah, and actually my family tries to go on we didn't do it this past summer.
Yeah, you didn't do it
But-
this summer. Sorry, I don't mean to
Yeah.
jump in there. But I know that you guys
We've
do
been to
this.
that's my out to the West Coast is like these trips we go on. Like every summer we try to go to like 3 or 4
Yeah.
professional baseball stadiums. And I have a little hat collection for all the stadiums I've been to.
I dig that. That's
so yeah,
cool.
it's awesome. I'll give you my top 3 ballparks just
Do
for
it,
fun.
man.
I'm gonna
I didn't know
go.
we were doing that, but I mean, that's,
Addendum, I know.
Yeah,
Apparently.
We get a
yeah.
pen.
We'll give this is a top 3 segment now.
Oh,
We're gonna go Camden Yards,
nice.
Fenway Park,
Mhm.
and PNC
Oh, because of
in
the
Pittsburgh.
view.
PNC
Not
is
of the
just,
field,
It's
just-
sick. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
Clearly not the play either.
Not the play.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's awesome.
Well, yeah,
That is
obviously
awesome.
the Pirates stink, but
That's right.
those are my top 3 for that. And then number 1, I'm gonna say the Charger Field bullpen.
Yeah.
It's my number 1 spot I've been at. Just to,
I
Good
like
plug there.
especially when Nace DeFerry's out there. It's not gonna happen this year, but I mean that was some good times. You know,
That's a whole.
Probably
that's
the-
a whole other podcast.
probably the hardest I've ever laughed in my life was probably
Another
out in that
conversation,
bullpen.
another day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my
Probably
top
without the
5.
microphones. No, perfect. That's good. I like that. All right, top 5 for me. Number 5, Lake Placid, Olympic history, and just a cool downtown. It was late fall. It's kind of nice. Number 4 is Huntington, Pennsylvania. It's where Juniata College is. My wife went there, and I just like it. It's a nice town. It's a college town. You got the woods. You got a little town. You got some good restaurants. I like the college, too. Number 3, Sanibel Island in Florida, seashell capital of the world. Terrific. Literally seashells everywhere.
Wow.
Sand dollars in the water, like you step on them. It's weird, like the first day, but if you stay for a week, you
You
get
have
used
little
to it.
collections in your bathroom with seashells.
The one, and it
Cannot
is
lie.
not mine, but yes, for sure.
Sure,
Although
so.
we did get I stepped on I stepped on something the one day and was like, no way, man. Like, I was like, it's sharp. It's not for me. I'm out. And my father-in-law was like, I'll check it out. It's this humongous conch shell. And I missed it because I was didn't want to step on it. Didn't want to. Anyway, so I have regrets, gentlemen. Anyway, number 2, St. Lucia. Went there a couple years ago. Awesome.
Okay.
It's blue, man. The water is blue.
Okay.
Piton Mountains there. And
Where's that at?
St. Lucia, it's an island.
It's in the Caribbean.
Is it its own island?
Caribbean.
Oh,
Mhm.
Caribbean.
Yeah.
It's pretty far down. It's about
Sick.
as far down as you can go in the Caribbean. Number 1, I went there when I was 16, family trip, Yellowstone National Park. Picturesque. All the things you think of when you think of a national park, that's what it is. And it's pretty cool.
You see Yogi?
Did.
Yeah.
Great guy. Took our
Hey,
lunch.
boo-boo.
Took our lunch.
Crazy.
How about a picnic basket?
Won't do Simon Cowell, but runs in with Yogi from the yard. Yeah, it was good. So I'm ready. I'm ready now, Micah. Let's go.
Okay. I'm gonna throw this number 6 in there, and this could probably go anywhere in there, just because you gave a top 3, so I
Yeah,
felt like I could.
We'll make a
have that.
bylaw. It's
Okay,
fine. Yeah.
bylaw, good.
Make a note.
The rest of mine are international, but I'll give a national treasure here. Is if Crested Butte, Colorado.
Ooh,
Epic.
nice.
Yeah, any Crested Butte is. It's like heaven. You're there. Anyways,
Is that close to the mountains or what?
it's in the mountains.
In the
It's
mountains?
like smack dab middle of Colorado. It's like the cherry on top. Some people would argue that, but I mean, you take mountain passes to get there, and you're at significant altitude, and it's just you feel like you're in the Alps, and you're just looking around. Summertime, it was epic. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw
Colorado's
that
like
one
on my
in.
bucket
Up
list
to
for
ask
sure.
Hunter.
To
Yeah.
go
Up to ask
to.
student worker Hunter. He's from Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He'll let us know.
Maybe he'll
Yeah.
take us on a retreat out to his house sometime. We can get visit.
We'll load up in the car.
Yeah.
I would anything in Colorado is from Denver to the west. Do that. Don't go to the plains. I'm sorry. Just
Don't
it's
go to
like
where?
driving through the Iowa. Don't go to the plains.
Oh no.
Anything east of Denver, it's like in Nebraska.
We were in Boulder one time.
Just
It was
saying. Boulder's cool. Cool.
a lot of Nebraskans really upset with that last comment.
Yeah.
Go Huskers, but it's
right.
fine.
All right.
All
Yeah,
right.
Colorado in and of itself, you can go there anywhere. Rockies is awesome. All right, here we go. Victoria Falls in Zambia. Bungee jumped on Victoria Falls. Epic. Very cool.
How's Kate May working out over there?
Yeah.
You just got blasted.
I
with
told
Victoria.
you, I'm gonna blast you. I'm
Yeah,
not
it's-
trying to. Just saying.
People, we might as well just cut my segment out. I mean, or my portion, anyways. Yeah.
I will then say Singapore. Very clean, very friendly. Kind of odd, but very cool. Weird food, but beautiful in and of itself.
What kind of food?
It's very. I mean, it's obviously Asian. There's this thing called sea cucumber, and if you look up balati, they cook it. It's gelatin. It's just odd. I only tried it because in Guam we have them in the at the beach, and so we play with them, and they're like little squirt guns, and so then but they eat them. It's
What's
weird.
it taste like?
Kind of like nothing. Again, the texture is gelatin. They boil it, and then it's just kind of.
What's the point then if it doesn't taste like anything?
I don't know.
That's
I didn't
fine.
think it tasted good, but obviously there was a little bit of a delicacy.
Is
so
it
it's like,
filling
whatever.
or something? Like, is it?
I suppose so. It's probably more of like an hors d'oeuvre. I wouldn't say it's a main course.
Would you like to take a time out on this and tell people that you're not really from here?
That's an unfair advantage.
Okay.
Yeah.
You asked me, man. You said
I
top
know what
5
I said.
places.
I
so
got it,
I
but
did grow up on the island of Guam,
I was
and
gonna
so
say,
I
happen to know that.
I
That's
have
why.
a little bit of a leg up on the competition when it comes to top 5 places. Obviously, if you don't know where Guam's at, it's in the Pacific. It's between Japan and the Philippines, Australia. It's U.S.'s westernmost
And
territory.
there's a lot of redheads in Guam. That's
Yes,
correct.
we're actually the population is very high on redheads there. I actually think I was the only one in my school.
We're staring at the population of redheads from
There
Guam.
might have been 1 or 2 more in my school that I went to, but not very many. So stuck out like a sore thumb, literally in every sense of that word. But it was awesome. Loved growing up there. So got the ability to travel. That's really what it gave me. Good perspective on life bars. So Victoria Falls, Zambia, Palau. I'll say Palau. There's a place in Palau. It's called Shark City. And you're on this boat, and you get out there, and you go into the Rock Islands. And they call it Shark City for the exact
Aptly
reason.
named.
Aptly named. They chum the water, And basically, as soon as they do that, you're in snorkel gear, and so you're in there in your fins and your mask, and they chum it, and 30, 40, 50 sharks just show up, and you're just swimming with them. And they're not aggressive. They're naturally peaceful creatures. I don't know if you knew that.
As they're chewing on the chum.
Yes, they're pounding,
chewing,
all this,
ripping apart is the thing.
flesh and.
It's like a grizzly bear. It's naturally nice.
Yeah, they're just you just don't get in their way and they're fine.
Especially if you stand between them and the cub.
It's
peaceful.
You're very, very. If you don't know anything about sharks, as long as they're just swimming along, they're fine. As soon as they start darting, that's a problem. So they're just kind of graceful. They're really not looking for anything. Honestly, their edges get sharp, and then it's a problem. Well, my brother decided, he was with me, probably 30 people in the area, decided I'm going to dive down and grab the dorsal fin and yank it. My brother's a little crazy. Miles Herron, he went to school here, played soccer, played volleyball. He lives life on the edge, to say the least. Anyway, he dives down, pulls the dorsal fin back. The shark obviously jerks its head back. He loses all his air. And he's laughing at this point. I'm like, that's not funny. Like, you could die. He thinks it's hilarious. Shoots up to the top. He's like, I did it. Shark kind of goes off and eventually eats some chum. And we all survived, but that's probably one of the dumbest things he's ever done that I've witnessed. So that's Palau. It's beautiful. I mean, it's just beautiful.
I like it.
Machu Picchu. Been to Machu Picchu in Peru. That was unreal. Just incredible that they're up in 10, 11, 12,000 feet in the Andes, and there's a civilization that lived there. And it's still very much preserved. Legitimately, there's llamas everywhere. So, yeah.
Wow.
That's cool.
Nice.
So that's probably these could probably fall in any order. Last one, last spring I got the chance to probably go to my ultimate bucket list spot, which was Israel. Got a tour of the Holy Land. The Sea of Galilee, unbelievable. Just serene, peaceful. And you really get a sense of, obviously, kind of experiencing going places, what Jesus did and his disciples. They lived most of their life up that, or his public ministry up there, and it was life-changing for me on a very deeper spiritual level than these other places. But, yeah, so that's my top 5, or 6, actually.
And Micah gets another W.
Yeah. He blew me out of the water.
18 and 6. Great, thanks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No, that's terrific. That's terrific. We picked a good category then. For this.
Yeah, it was perfect.
I don't even think we knew it was like I just kind of thought of it.
No,
so that's good. That was easy to do. That's good.
Yeah, it made it easy.
I knew something would be on the list because I knew where you grew up. So, but didn't see all 5.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Thanks for throwing us that. The U.S. lemming there at number 6.
Yeah,
well, I gotta, the old U.S. of A. Gotta give them a shout out. So,
Get the socks on
yeah, that's right. See,
trying to match.
America.
Plenty. That's plenty. Great. No, well, thank you, Micah, for stopping by. We're gonna keep going here a little bit, but if you need to get up and go, that's fine.
Awesome.
So,
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Good luck this
fun.
weekend, and look forward to having you back. If we host the NEAC Championships, might have to have a team effort here.
Yeah, we'll love that. We'll love it.
Great.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Micah. Appreciate it. So that was Micah Herron, head coach of the LBC women's volleyball team. Again, 17 and 6 overall. Big weekend this weekend. They'll head to Casanova. Thanks for slamming the door, Micah. Appreciate it. Mr. Rogers never had that problem. They were always shut the door very nicely, and he just slams it. They'll head to New York, take on Cas on Saturday at 2, and then Morrisville at 4. And you can find the links for the live video and stats on our schedule page there for women's volleyball. Quick recap of the week since we last spoke. The LBC women's lacrosse team got 26th out of 30 at the Gettysburg Invitational. All the women ran a personal record. Judith Breeze finished first, or was the first LBC runner across finish line for LBC. The men got 12th out of 28 teams at the Gettysburg Invitational. That Invitational featured Division 1, 2, and 3 teams, and LBC actually beat 2 Division 1 teams and several Division 2 teams. So a great weekend there for the Chargers. Ebenezer Abebe got 19th out of 276 runners. Ran a sub-27 8K again, 26:45, and the brothers Kroeb, Thatcher, and Tanner ran well too for the Chargers. All signs gearing and pointing to the NEAC Championships. The women's cross country team is actually going to run this Friday at the LVC Run Fast Last Chance Invitational up there. There's some crazy guy who's the sports information director up there now at LVC.
Wonder who that is.
Yeah, right. So we'll have lots of things. We'll talk about it at the end here later in the podcast about all the things we're going to do next week for the NEAC Championships. But that it will be next Saturday, the 27th. We'll have the NEAC Championships here for you on the Chargers Sports Network. And again, we'll talk in a little bit about all the things we have next week concerning that. Field hockey team's been off most of this week. They'll be at Cuca tomorrow, 4 o'clock start. They're going to wrap up the season next weekend, 26th and 27th. Back-to-back games versus Sweetbriar, 4 o'clock on Friday. That'll be senior day. And then 2 o'clock on Saturday after the cross-country race. The women's soccer team defeated SUNY Poly 4-0 on Saturday. They got goals from Julia Holtstrand, Kylie Murray, Brianna Hoover, and Jackie Moore to win 4-0 over SUNY Poly. Creates a bit of breathing room for them in the NEAC playoff picture, but still be nice to get a win or two or even a tie or two this weekend in New York against Cazenovia and Morrisville. Still, for the most part, again, we'll have to see what happens this weekend with the Chargers and Gallaudet, but all signs are sort of pointing to the Chargers and Gallaudet playing sort of a winner advances to the NEAC playoffs regular season game on the 24th, next Wednesday. We'll have to see. Again, Gallaudet plays the same teams that we do this weekend. They'll be at Caz. We're at Caz on Saturday and Morrisville on Sunday, and they're the other way. So we'll have to see which team can maybe get a point or even a win up there this weekend, and that could change a few things. But looks like next Wednesday could be a pseudo playoff game to see who gets that last spot into the NEAC playoffs. To getting some players back from injury, and we talk a lot about in basketball peaking at the right time of the season. And Tyler, you can talk to you. I think the women's soccer team is playing better. I get the sense they're playing better. I get the sense they're understanding their roles on the team. Micah talked a lot about that, about them understanding their roles. I get the sense the women's soccer team is starting to fall into place. I'm sure head coach Allie Brown would have loved for us to said that 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago even. But I think it's happening now, and we'll have to see what happens this weekend in New York.
Yeah, that's the right time to do it for sure, though.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously 2 or 3 weeks would have been good, but
right.
Coming down to it, you don't want to be falling apart at this
Yep.
time of the season.
For sure. We've seen teams do that before, and they go the other way. Men's soccer, huge win over Penn College last night, Tuesday night. Joel Hughes with a penalty kick goal with 1:19 to play. The Chargers are now 7-6-1 overall, but more importantly, they're 6-2 in NEAC play. They are alone in second place as of this talk right now on Wednesday afternoon. They play Caz in Morrisville this weekend. The game with Morrisville could decide the second seed behind Penn State Abington. No one's going to catch Abington. They have the tiebreaker over everybody and a 2-game lead, so they're going to be the host. But same thing as the volleyball. If you're the second seed, you don't have to play a quarterfinal game. You can advance right to the semifinals, and it would be good for the Chargers to avoid Abington until the final as well. Not that we can't beat them, but if you don't have to play the 1 seed until the final, that would be nice. So prior to last night, I did a little deep dive, a little statistical deep dive. Yeah. Thank you. Prior to last night, LBC was 1-5 in 1-goal games this season. They're now 2-5, obviously. And if last night could be some type of turning point for them, again, that would be great to have the confidence to win a 1-goal game. Went back 2 seasons, so including this year, they're 9-16 in 1-goal games over the past 3 years, which seems like a lot for. But I guess it's not.
Yeah, I don't know.
They were 4-6 last year and 3-5 in 2016. The last 2 years, last 2 years against Morrisville and Caz, 3 of the 4 games have been 1-goal games. Our record in those 3 games, 3-0.
Wow.
So we've saved it for the important ones.
Yeah.
The ones that we do have won. So we'll have to see. I would expect 2 tight games. We are ahead of Cazenovia in the standings, but it always seems like we play weird up there, and they're a good team on their field. Their field's sort of right in the middle there of campus, and Morrisville's good. So it'll be interesting to see how we play up there. We've played a lot over the past 5 years up in Morrisville, mostly in the NEAC playoffs, and mostly losing to Morrisville in the NEAC playoffs. But we beat them last year down here, and so we'll have to see. It'll be interesting for head coach Timnar and the guys. I know that they're pumped after last night, and I saw a couple of them today, and kind of just smiling.
Yep.
Smiling. I don't know.
They got a little bit.
I think they earned it.
Right.
They earned it, and they earned the foul with 1:19 to go. Kendrick got fouled in the box. It wasn't a cheap one. It wasn't anything like that. But I also think they know that they eluded a tough Penn College team last night.
Right.
So
It feels like they got a little bit of their swagger back. I feel
it
like,
does.
yeah.
It does. That's why I mentioned that. They're 7-6-1, but I think they feel really good about the 6 wins in NEAC play. And for all of the NEAC-isms that we like to throw around about certain sports that we have in the NEAC, the men's soccer conference is good, in my opinion. Now, it's not the MAC, and it's not the Centennial, but I'm here to tell you, all those listeners,
in your professional opinion, yeah. Right.
But having seen a lot of these games now, knowing these teams and looking at the stats and watching videos and there's good teams in the NEAC. Not every team is good, but a lot of them can beat you on any day. Like Micah was saying with volleyball. I think that's a lot less true of volleyball, no offense, Micah, than it is soccer.
Right.
I think if you're better, I mean, there are a ton of momentum. I would hate to be the guy who does the win probability thing in collegiate volleyball because the pendulum swings from 100 to 100. It's amazing because and you can see it coming. But in men's soccer, I really do think anyone in the NEAC could win on any day, probably. Especially maybe not the top and the bottom team or two, but right there in the middle, you can go up and down. I'm telling you that any day can win on any day. So I'd be interested to see for the guys this weekend. And then they, of course, host Guydale as well on the 24th. And I have to look. I don't know if we've clinched a playoff spot yet, but the game against Guydale will not be for a playoff spot. That would be bad if it was. That would be. I don't know how that would happen, but.
You say it's at Guydet though?
It's here.
It's here.
Yeah,
okay.
Senior night on Wednesday. And we'll talk about that. So. Women's volleyball, we kind of talked there with Micah about it. They won 3-0 on Tuesday night against Lycoming. Again, 5 in a row, 11-12, and 17-3 since starting the season. 0-3. And again, the aforementioned weekend in New York coming up. So it's kind of funny actually. We're playing Kaz. Everyone's playing Kaz on Saturday. Volleyball and both soccers, but volleyball's playing Kaz in Morrisville, so they have to get together. But they are playing. And then the soccer teams will be in Morrisville the day after volleyball. So Lancaster is invading upstate New York this weekend. Again, field hockey is Thursday, and the women's cross country is at Lebanon Valley on Friday. Next week, huge week here for us, not only on campus, but on the Chargers Sports Network. Next Tuesday, women's volleyball senior night. I play Marywood here at 7 o'clock. Wednesday, the games against Guydet. That's 5 and 7:15 for soccer. So finish up work and get over here, have some dinner, and get over here for senior night for men's and women's soccer. Next Friday is field hockey at 4 o'clock. Sweet Briar, that'll be senior day as well. And then next Saturday is the big one, the NEAC Championships. Cross country 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock will be the races, and then field hockey's at 2 that day. And then there's also a women's basketball scrimmage that afternoon as well.
I heard that, yeah.
Catch a glimpse of women's basketball. I think the men's team is scrimmaging Friday as well. I honestly don't remember if that's here or on the road.
I think it's here because they're doing the Midnight Madness thing.
Thursday.
Is that Thursday?
Yeah, that's Thursday.
Okay, maybe it's not.
I
That
forget.
wouldn't matter then. But
So next week we're going to try a couple different things. Again, it's the NEAC Championships. LBC is hosting for the second time in 3 years. We're going to have head coach Ryan Gaiman on the podcast next week. We're also going to have a runner as well. And we are going to be taking a gator ride of the course and have some video of that as well posted. Just lots of different things, whether it be on the website with a preview, written preview, some things on social media, and of course the races next Saturday. We'll have a finish line and start line set up for you. Going to use the GoPro, going to use Twitter Live. So we're trying to kind of blast out all the coverage of the NEAC Championships. This is the one time that all of the schools in the NEAC run together. We had a preview race here in mid-September, and a lot of the teams were here. Not every team was here, so this is the only time that everyone in the NEAC gets together for cross country. And it's a weird sport to view in person because unless you're running with the team the whole time, you can't see them the whole time. It's not like basketball.
it'd be pretty impressive if you could do that too.
I will not.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be able to do that. I know.
7-8K has eluded me.
Yeah. I definitely couldn't be able to do that. I shouldn't say probably.
I'm nervous for Frank driving the cart.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of blast out as much as we can, everything for next weekend's races.
That means follow us on all our
That
social
means
media.
follow us on everywhere.
At LBC Athletics, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
There's some things on Facebook.
Yep.
So yeah, we're really going to try to showcase the sport of cross country. I I think we do a good job of hosting events here. We've been told that, and I think that. But I just want to make
It's all about the good workers that we have, you know.
It's about
Yeah.
the student workers
Yep.
and the efforts they put in. But again, everyone knows about men's basketball. Everybody knows about men's women's soccer and all the other sports. But I think cross country and swimming and things like that can sometimes get lost in the shuffle, and we don't want to do that. And we're looking forward to a good race. Looking forward to having Assistant Commissioner Stephanie Dutton down here as well, and get a chance to see her and show off LBC and of course to the MEAC and all the teams. So I know head coach Ryan Gaines is going to come on and puff up our men's cross country team, and he should, because they're really good, and I think that they have a chance to possibly win the whole team event. And Ebenezer and Thatcher and Tanner, who knows? So
For sure.
SUNY Coastal has a terrific freshman runner. So it'll be interesting. They have not raced. We were in one race. with SUNY Coastal, I think, up at the MSMC invite, and it'd be nice to see them again, as well as SUNY Poly and Morrisville and all those northern teams usually have pretty good programs. And Penn College is a strong program as well. So it'll be good. We're looking forward to it. So,
Sweet.
want to again thank Micah Herron for coming on the podcast this week, and this was fun. It was a good one.
Yeah. I want to give a quick shout out to my brother and his soccer team tonight. They're in the playoffs, so that'll be fun. 7 o'clock tonight.
Who are they playing?
Harrisburg, I think. So they are home. They got one of the top seeds. So he asked me yesterday to give him a little shout out. So here it is. But yeah, so I'm headed there after this. Yeah. And since we done?
We're done.
All right. Since you stole my thunder earlier, I'm gonna steal yours now and sign off for you. So this has been Horse with No Name podcast. Go Chargers, go.